Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to nearly half of first marriages. So how do you announce your divorce? And why are divorce announcements essential to the divorce process? Welcome to a special season of a Fresh Story podcast. Let's talk about divorce announcements.
You get divorced. You get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce. You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello, my name is Lisa Happ. I am a certified divorce coach, narcissistic abuse coach, recovery coach, and grief coach. I specialize in helping women from beginning to end through their divorce process when they are leaving a toxic relationship or a relationship that is abusive through a narcissist.
Which we're going to have you back on to talk just about that, Lisa. We will definitely do that. So this season obviously is about the power of the divorce announcement. So I would love for you, as somebody that works with people going through divorce all the time, why do you think a divorce announcement, in whatever way somebody does announce their divorce, is so important?
I think it is incredibly important. I think it has such an empowering place for somebody going through a divorce. It's a place for you to create your own story and to put your own story out there. I was thinking about this before we got on a minute ago, and what the first thing that came to me was that you're in control. You're in control of your story and how it goes out there. And one thing I found when I got my own divorce, or when I first started meeting with people, when you get divorced or you tell people you're getting divorced, the first thing they say to you is, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry." Well, the first thing I say to somebody when they tell me they're getting divorced is congratulations, because nobody just wakes up one day and says, "Oh heck, I guess I'm going to file for divorce." It's a long process. There's a lot of heartache and self-reflection that goes into it. It's not something that someone's come to lightly. So I congratulate them. We send announcements when we get married and when we have children and when we start these big new life journeys. And so this is just another way to celebrate your own self and your own next journey.
I love that, Lisa. I love that.
Man, put that out there.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I think you're so right. I love the way that you put that.
And I think it doesn't matter how we do it. It does, whether it's an official announcement, whether it's something on social media, whether it's a group text, it's whatever you're comfortable with and whatever feels right to you. I think a huge thing, apart from what I just said, is, let's be honest, we live in a world where people like to talk. People like to talk to people about stories. So own your story. Shoot down the rumor mill. Let everybody know, and you get to be in full control of what you're putting out into the world. You can make your announcement funny. You can make it serious and make it about you. Yeah. And what I always tell my clients is, you own your story. You are allowed to say what you want to say or what you don't want to say. You are in full control. So if you're nervous that maybe the person you're divorcing is going to get upset, that's okay. It's your story. It happened to you, and you're allowed to put out there what you choose. Maybe just be mindful, knowing that whatever you put out is out there. If you're happy, whatever you want to put out there that you're happy to have out there, go for it.
Absolutely. Can you talk for a second about the language that we put around our divorce and how much that could impact us positively or negatively, as our perception of what we're going through?
Yes, absolutely. You don't have to put a positive spin on it if you don't want to. It's completely your choice. But knowing that the language you use, what we put out, we attract. So if we focus on all the negative, I believe anyway, mindset is everything and energy is everything. So we're going to attract more negative. I mean, if you're having wine with your girlfriends and you want to be like, "This guy is the biggest jerk in the world," valid. You want to call me, tell me that, valid. I will listen. But maybe putting it out there, I would suggest if you're ready to like start your new life and this announcement is empowering and it's part of your new journey, put out the positives. Say something like, we have decided that we're happier spending the rest of our lives apart. Focus on all the things you're excited to do and excited to grow from through this. You don't need to give the gory details. We don't need to know we never put the toilet seat down one time in the past 20 years.
Yep. Yeah, these are great. And so along those lines, Lisa, if somebody is listening to this and they're like, I'm ready to share my divorce story, hashtag rate my divorce story, what would be some really like clear guidelines as a coach who works with people, especially I'm going to say, I would love for your perspective as somebody who works with people in narcissistic, abusive relationships, because those can spiral out of control really quickly. The post-divorce abuse is real, right? So what would you say for, let's say, a woman listening and she is maybe in a narcissistic relationship or coming out of it, but still does want that empowerment, right, to share with her friends and family? What would be some examples that she could put out there?
That's such a great question. And one thing I think that works really well, even when you're telling verbally, so I think this would work even better, is saying something like, Joe and I have decided to divorce. I am excited for what this new chapter in my life will bring. I hope you honor my privacy during this time. During this time, I am not looking for any questions or feedback. If anything changes, I will let you know. Done. Find that like when you're getting divorced, everyone wants to like either give you advice or give you their feedback or know the hurt. And if you add something like, I'm not ready to talk about this, I'm not willing to share this information, but whatever you say, add, if anything changes, I will let you know. It shuts people down and it kind of shuts them up.
Yeah. And what about, I've interviewed a couple women on this season who their ex-husband did not want them sharing, right, publicly, and they went ahead and shared anyway. What would you say to that?
I think it depends on the situation. It depends on where the relationship is with the soon-to-be ex-husband. But because I work in the space of women with coercive control and abuse, they don't get to tell you what to do. It's not their choice. It's your story. It's your story to tell. Tell it. Scream it from the rooftops. If that makes you feel empowered and supported, just do it in a way where the boundaries around it feel really comfortable for you.
Yeah. And I always like to say, as somebody that's talked a lot about her own divorce, I actually, never talk about my ex-husband, right? But you can talk about your divorce without talking about your ex, which is a fine line, I will say, but it is possible to do. So, yeah.
It's absolutely possible. Make it about you. What you're excited for your next chapter, maybe what you've worked through it. Again, you don't need to pinpoint things they did or didn't do. All about you, but it's your story to tell.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lisa, before we go, how do you work with clients? And if people are listening and they're like, oh, I love her vibe, I really need her support, what does that look like?
I work with clients in a few different ways. I sometimes do hourly coaching sessions, or I'll do a package of 3 sessions. If somebody's really just looking to gain a little clarity, that's great when we're talking about, should I stay or should I go? Or how do I get all this paperwork organized? But typically I work with clients in a 6-month container. And it doesn't matter whether you're thinking of getting divorced. Some people are in the middle of the divorce, and we work on everything. I am your divorce BFF, your mentor, your support person, and your coach. And we do everything from somatic work to emotional processing through brain spotting. We work together on an unlimited basis. So for 6 months, I am like you're on your speed dial. You can call me, you can text me. We work on the business of your divorce, building your new life after the divorce, and all the emotional chaos that comes with it. So then you have like your one person to go through this process with, so you're not leaning on family and friends to the point where the relationship gets strained.
Yeah.
You also know, like, you've got that person to go to court with you. You've got that person that's going to find you someone to help you write your resume when you're ready to get back out into the world or change jobs. Literally, I can't actually see what I do because I do
everything. Yeah.
My dog and I walked a client's dog the other day.
Yeah.
Go on first post-divorce date, and she was worried about her dog being home. So literally everything. We do
And
everything.
you work virtually, right? So you could work with anybody anywhere.
Yes, I do have an office in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, but I also work virtually.
And I want to say too, to add, I think you mentioned this, we get a lot of people over at Fresh Starts who are looking for support for their loved ones during a divorce because they don't know how to support them. We get emails all the time, right? My sister's going through divorce, my best friend. So if you're listening to this and you have a best friend, sister, brother, whatever it is, going through a divorce and you don't know how to support them, hiring Lisa would be a great option there, right? To get all the support you need, prepare for the divorce, process the divorce. And you, like Lisa, you said you get to, continue having a positive relationship with that person because you'll have Lisa in your back pocket. So I love that.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's such a good point. And a lot of times when people come to me for the first time, whether it's on Zoom or in my office, they bring that person with them. Comes your mom, comes meeting your family.
Yeah, divorce coaches are so important, and we're still trying to shout to the world, hire them because they're really an essential part of the divorce process at this point in time. Well, Lisa, you are a gem. We're so excited that you're part of the Fresh Starts community. And if people want to hire Lisa and get in touch, you can obviously, all of her links will be in the show notes, but you can also go to freshstartsregistry.com and in the expert guide, find Lisa. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Nita Smith, the founder and CEO of my company, Life After Divorce Coaching Services. I help men and women rebuild their lives after divorce, rebuild their emotions, rebuild their finances, and find love and happiness after divorce. I always tell my clients, divorce does not define you. You have to pick yourself up, let go of self-pity, and move forward after the divorce because life does not end after divorce. It's a new beginning, and you just move forward and find ways to become emotional, dependent on yourself, your support system, your family, and just leave your past behind.
I love that. So many of our divorce coaches became a divorce coach because they themselves got divorced. So with that being said, Dr. Smith, did you share about your divorce when you got divorced?
Yes, I was very, strategic in who I shared it to because as you know, Olivia, you cannot share your story or your situation with people because it can be taken out of context.
Mm-hmm.
So I shared my divorce with my family and friends, close ones who I could trust. I shared with them. I did not post it on social media. I did not send anybody a group text. I spoke to people individually during that time frame when I shared my divorce.
Yeah. And I think that's so important to talk about because some people don't want to share it on social media, right? They maybe just want to make that phone call to their sister or their best friend and say, this is what's going on. So I love that. And so much of the work we're doing here this season is saying that to people. You can share however you want to share. So I love that story. As a divorce coach, why do you feel that divorce announcements, and however they are so empowering for people?
It helps them to bring emotional closure to that situation, and it helps them to move forward. If you don't share that divorce announcement with people, you will have all type of bitterness and depression and all of those emotional feelings pent up inside of you until you let it out.
I love that. I love that. So do you have any tips or advice for the things you should be doing for sharing the divorce with people?
Yes, I have 3 tips. The first one is be careful who you share it with. If you have children, you don't want them at an early age to know what's going on. If they're teenagers and above, yes, of course, share it with them because they're more mature and they will be able to handle it more so than an elementary school person. And their feelings may be different. Yes, the teenagers may feel the impact of it, but make sure you share it with them. Secondly, keep it simple. You don't have to share the personal details with your children of what happened or your family and friends. And the third thing is be positive about it. Yes, you're hurting inside. You know what happened. Your spouse knows what happened. Leave all of that baggage out of it and just keep it positive. Stay off of social media. Don't put anything on social media because
yeah.
it can come back to harm you.
It really can.
If you want to tell your supervisor or co-workers, be careful. That's up to you. You know who you can trust in the workplace. You know who you cannot trust in the workplace. I did not share it with them, but it's your choice if you want to do that or not.
That's a great point because some people might feel like they have to share with their boss or their colleagues or their clients, but also you don't have to do that, right? It's not something that is like, legally that you have to share with anybody, right?
Right.
So when it comes to working with clients, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, I really need the support right now, what are all the wonderful ways that you work with your clients through their divorce?
I work with clients through one-on-one coaching because some want to be private. I also work with them in group coaching settings. I work with them through workshops, seminars, and I also added financial planning to the divorce coaching model because people want to deal with the emotional side of going through divorce, but I'm not sure if everyone helps them with the financial side. So I cover both areas holistically to help them in those navigate the money and the mindset after divorce. How am I going to help my children? How am I going to pay my bills? How are we going to make it after divorce? And, I help them make it through those financial setbacks by giving them practical tools and tips and strategies to help them with their finances after divorce.
I love that. It is so important, the work you're doing, because it really does make a big difference and moving forward, right? And then finding love again or whatever you'd like to do. Well, as always, you can find Dr. Smith at Fresh Starts Registry in the Expert Guide. And can you tell us a little bit about your book before you go?
Yes, I wrote a book during my divorce phase. I didn't know how I was going to make it. I didn't know how I was going to take care of my children. I know that going from 2 incomes as a married couple down to one income can be very hard on a person. And when a divorce hits you by surprise, you don't know what to do. So I wrote my book, You Can Make It, How to Start Living Your Virtuous or Victorious Life, letting women and men know that they can make it after divorce. I give them 12 practical steps of how to get through their divorce and be empowered to live a victorious life after divorce.
I love that. And I really love that you offer one-on-one coaching and group coaching because sometimes people want one-on-one, like you said, but also they want a community of other people who are going through divorce. So with your group coaching, do you do that virtually too?
Yes, I do that virtually.
So if somebody's listening to this and they want to have other people who understand what they're going through, to get in touch with Dr. Smith, and she will hook you up with all the support you need to thrive through and beyond your divorce. Thank you so much, Dr. Smith. It's always a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Olivia. I appreciate the invitation.
I'm Jason Scriven. I'm a men's divorce coach, focusing on helping men specifically who are going through the process of either separation or divorce handle the emotional, financial, and logistical aspects of getting through it and thriving after divorce.
Amazing. We're really, really happy to have your perspective. So obviously we're talking about divorce announcements. As we say, a divorce announcement can be anything from calling a friend on the phone to a text message to that public social media celebrity-like post that you're going to put out there. So in your perspective and having worked with a lot of men through divorce, why are divorce announcements in whatever capacity important for kind of moving forward in your divorce story?
From my own experience and from working with the clients that I have, the thing that I tell my clients is to tell everyone. Divorce is pretty emotional. It's traumatic. And for men especially, there is embarrassment because you've failed, so to speak, right? You've maybe been successful in business in your whole life, and now all of a sudden you're failing at marriage.
Ooh, that's interesting, Jason.
Right? You're not only failing at marriage, but, are you earning enough money to support yourself by living alone? And are you protecting your children from the hurt of divorce? There's a lot of failure there with men. And I think the default is to shrink in and keep it to yourself. And the opposite really is true, is you should be telling as many people as possible.
So with that being said, what does that look like for people? And what have your clients done? What did you do, if you would like to share?
Well, Olivia, that's a great question. There's a couple of people you can start with before you tell your family, because I think coming out, in so to speak, in terms of being, either separated or going through a divorce with your family is probably the most difficult, because of, again, the embarrassment of, I made this commitment for a number of years to this person, and all of a sudden we're failing. A couple of people you can tell is somebody at work who is, not to be very judgmental, who may have gone through divorce yourself. Somebody who is in your life professionally, who is used to hearing stuff like that. And I hate to say it, but your hairstylist.
Yes,
your
always.
fitness trainer.
Yep.
The guy at the cycle shop. And then the last person that I would suggest is, I guarantee you in every marriage, there's some person on your side of the family who doesn't like your ex. That is a great person to start with.
Interesting.
Because you're going to get the support you need from that person. And they might not be mean about it, but they'll be support.
Yeah. I love that. I love the hairstylist. I for sure understand that one. What advice would you give to, what do you give to your clients, or what have you seen that works well in terms of communicating this, or maybe don't do these things when you're communicating about your divorce?
I think the biggest thing is when you're telling friends about your divorce is don't put too much burden on them to actually be your emotional support dog. That puts them in a bad situation because they don't know what to do. They're not trained as a coach or as a therapist. At the same time, once you've told a couple of people, Olivia, it gets easier.
Right.
You know the parts that you want to share, the parts that you want to stay private. And ideally, you've developed a little bit of a script. We separated. It happened last week.
Yep.
I'm living with my parents, struggling a little bit, and I don't quite know how to feel. Keep it simple like that, and people will fill in the blanks. You don't need to go into crazy detail, because really they don't want to know all the gory details.
I like that script. So what about with social media, though, Jason?
The first step I always talk to my clients about when it comes to social media is to immediately block your ex.
Interesting.
Because, I think a lot of times you get, especially if you're on the end of the divorce where they walked out on you instead of the other way around, you can be pining for a life that you used to have. And every time you see your ex on social media or see them engaging in a new life, it can be quite painful. At the same time, I think the same rules that we just talked about in person can apply on social. Start in a safe space, start in a chat group that's private, start with friends that you trust. Before you make the big Twitter announcement where there's a picture of you taking off your ring, or it's only you and the kids, or you and the dog, and it's like that, in the movie where they cut out the ex. I think you start with where it's safe.
Yeah,
and go
I
from
like
there.
that. I love that. I love it. Any other advice that you have given your clients, or you would recommend as somebody that went through this, about kind of the tone that you could set with your divorce announcement?
Well, I think the tone you set is that I'm going through it and it's going to be okay. And for yourself, every person you tell makes it easier to tell the next person. As you go along, it makes it easier for you, Olivia, to accept the fact that you're divorced and to begin looking forward to a new life, strong and free after divorce.
I love that. A fresh start. Jason, how do you work with clients, and how can people get in touch with you?
People can get in touch with me at my website. It's scrivenprogram.com, or they can find me on the Fresh Starts registry.
Yep.
And I generally work with men who are either in the middle of divorce, thinking about divorce, or have gone through divorce and need help looking forward and kind of crafting a new life.
Yeah. And you know what I love about what you do, Jason, and we love having you at Fresh Starts, is we have a lot of people who get in touch with us because somebody in their life needs the support, right? Maybe it's their brother or their father or whatever. And so, I think it's so interesting because people really want to support the people who are going through a divorce, that they can then get in touch with you and say, hey, I think my brother or my cousin or whatever, my best friend, needs some support. And I think, for men, it is really hard, right? Because they don't culturally have the support through divorce. So we just appreciate what you're doing and the work that you're doing to destigmatize all of these kind of, cultural narratives around men and divorce and this and that. And if anybody needs the support, or if anybody's listening and knows a man in their life who needs the support, definitely get in touch with Jason. He is a pro and he will help you through all this. Jason, always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Olivia. Take care.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. A Fresh Story podcast is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the first and only platform for everything you need to begin again, from home items to Hype Team and everything in between. You can learn more and read today's show notes at afreshstory.com.